again, I don't trust again, can't trust the Clippers because you don't know what Paul George is going to end up doing, so you can't do much there. He doesn't trust Denver. Utah, you might again, Utah is a situation where it's in a regular season pool's rolled. I don't know. We'll see when the playoffs show up. That's basically it. A healthy and fully healthy situation, and it's a simple fact. It'll probably beat the Lakers and the Nets, and they'll probably put that theory to the test. Now, do I think that there's still going to be issues with the Nets? Absolutely, I do. A lot of health issues. They're relying on a lot of injury-prone guys.
Do you think that those guys are actually hurt?
You think they're hurt? Or you think they're resting? All we need is I'm waiting for one of those Kyrie situations where he lighting stage. That's the problem.
You and the Lakers is we.
No.
You said we. Who are you speaking for?
Well, basketball fans in general aren't cheering for the Nets, I guess. Right? Okay. Well, isn't it? So you believe that they're going to win the championship?
I'm saying I can't for the life.
You're not going to cheer for it.
I just can't see how they lose. I'm watching them. They're unstuck. There's no way. I haven't even.
But you're hoping they lose.
I'm not hoping. No, I don't want them or Golden State. I don't want them or Lakers to win. Absolutely not.
Well, the Lakers, we already know that situation.
No, I'm just saying.
L005.
No, but I don't like.
But you're easily.
There's no prayer. If you really genuinely like basketball, forget all this stuff.
Here's the thing.
There's no prayer for LA to be broken.
And again, we go back to the old situations. Again, there were always teams that maybe again weren't considered all four, and we might go to the Draymond Green thing. Draymond Green a couple of years ago when I said that stadium was obviously playing at a much higher level. Guys fall
not Hall of Fame level, and I said he wasn't.
Say that Kyle Lowry's a Hall of Famer. I don't think Kyle Lowry's a Hall of Famer, but people
I don't think he's Hall of Fame worthy, but for the people that got in, he deserves to be here. If he continues to go, like I don't think T-Mac should have went first round. I think that T-Mac should have been there, but not first round ballot. How can Tracy McGrady be first round ballot? If they're doing these things, I can't even trust what their system is now. So according to what I'm seeing Lowry doing, I don't think Lowry should be first ballot, but he's one of those guys that should be old and like maybe like 5'6".
So Draymond, who ended up winning more championships and still ended up being All-Star.
Yeah, it doesn't go by the question. Is Draymond a better player than your guy in the Bulls? No, the classic Bulls, Rodman.
Much Rodman.
Draymond's better than Rodman?
Yeah.
Draymond's better or Rodman?
Rodman's way better than Draymond. I can't even. I mean, Rodman was a guy that at the end of the day, besides him being somewhat of a lunatic he was a dominant player on the boards. And again, for a guy his size, he could guard a lot of guys that are much bigger. I think for me, Rodman's one of the best defensive players of all time, in my opinion.
You're right, but I'm just in awe that you used to make fun of him and said he was garbage.
No.
And then you watched the last dance and now you're there with all this respect now. I can't believe
my situation was that you tended to not give these guys enough credit.
You said he was garbage.
No. I said
you said Rodman was garbage. I can't believe him.
I've always been a fan of Rodman.
That's not true. You said it on the show.
Again, Rodman
as a player.
No, he was one of the best rebounds. The thing that I always countered his argument was that he always said that Rodman was almost out of the league.
That did happen.
Okay. But at the end of the day, he was still a phenomenal player.
He was, but you didn't say it. You know what he reminds me of? It's like all these people during the pandemic. I can't find anyone that used to buy all the toilet paper. Everybody did buy all the toilet paper. Nobody was scared and hiding in their house. No one bought all the tissue paper. Yet they were all. Where's everybody? Everyone's saying no. I wasn't here. I wasn't one of them. You were one of them. You guys went to Target. You did have all the toilet paper. You did have all the tissue.
You always undercut these guys like Horace Grant and Rodman. Again, that helped Michael.
I never did that.
Rodman at the end of the day was a phenomenal rebound. Again, I had those Rodman.
I won't let you get away with it. You said Rodman was garbage.
I did not say
yes, you did say Rodman was garbage.
You can find me any situation.
I can find it. I'm going to find the text that you did. You know, I'll do it after the show.
I never said Rodman.
What does Rodman know about anything? He doesn't know anything about defense. I sent you 15 voice notes. No, he didn't know that before. I sent him voice notes screaming at him, saying how Dennis Rodman is the only one to hold Shaq to 0 points.
I remember that conversation.
And why did I yell that to you? Because you said he doesn't know anything. Why would I yell that at you?
Well, again, at the end of the day, Rodman's, again, not knowing anything or anything. I've never been a big thing of Dennis Rodman's, takes in terms of.
I'm glad that you came around. But don't pretend that you always knew.
So you say Rodman was a terrible player.
It took only
a guy that won rebounding championships. All
right, time out. We're done with this one. I got to ask, I guess, Igor a question because I know that you brought this up a lot. And now that we are in the quickly I'll ask, because I know that you wanted to answer this question too. You said that Kyrie, so first let me ask the question, is Brooklyn better than you thought they'd be? Because when we came on before, I remember, and I had the
Now
clip
again,
and I said.
it's now, again, what rendition, so you saying that you saw them dominant and so forth. It's the rendition that you haven't seen these guys play together for a long time, so are they better than I thought? You know, they've added guys since we last did the show, you know, added Aldridge and so forth. Again, it seems to be a team
I don't think that's changed too much of their.
but again, they also haven't played a ton of this stuff together, so I'm still waiting for a long run of games where to see how that system where the ball is gonna work.
Okay.
And that's my biggest thing. I still think that at one point, and then when the playoffs come, the pressure comes. The regular season.
Who's gonna challenge
The thing is, in the playoffs, when things get tight and defense gets going, are they gonna play in that same mentality that they don't want the ball? In terms of, I'm okay with giving Harden the ball, and Kyrie's back, and relaxing and so forth, that's my situation. The regular season is okay, regular season half these people, like, you got Nurkic today.
Yeah, we've seen that
back,
line.
he doesn't want, these guys are resting here and there, a lot of people don't really care about the regular season, now, that's just the reality. Now,
LeBron's winning.
Well, no, again, even LeBron's missed out about 3 or 4 weeks now, again, maybe or maybe not, they come back.
He might have needed an injury to rest anyway,
Yeah,
but that's not even a shot. He's
he's
playing a lot of
he's
stuff.
30
Igor,
years old.
I'm sorry, I know you're still blind, I'm asking no question. Are you watching the games or highlights? Be honest.
Watching
Are you watching
the
the
game.
games?
Yeah, I'm watching the game.
You can't look at Brooklyn and see, you're watching Brooklyn and think that the issue where they could lose is that they're gonna be fighting for the ball like a bunch of kids?
My
can't tell that this
thing
team
is
is
that,
dominant.
so hold on a second, so you're telling me that at the end of the day, let's play a lot of these games about Durant, so it's different when, again, Kyrie seems to have come around a bit in terms of letting Harden run things a little bit different. Now, like I said, it's the law, does that happen long term is my thing. If they're gonna, again, they got egos and so forth, when it comes to the playoffs, when stuff gets tight, we'll see how that camaraderie ends up working, or is it gonna be a problem with them moving the ball around? I still think it's gonna be a problem at some point, because again, with the egos, I think it'll still be an issue, but they haven't had long spans of Durant in the lineup with all of them. I'm waiting for that long span to make an educated decision on how is this ball movement gonna work and so forth. Now, again, a lot of guys are playing possum. For example, Blake Griffin couldn't dunk for over a year, all of a sudden now I see him dunking all over the place.
He's not dunking all over the place, he's 6'8" and his 2 hands
He
out
went
the rim, that's a dunk to you?
He went a whole year without a single dunk, all of a sudden you look at him.
Grade A center dunking.
12 surgeries.
Well, I think that's
Grade A center dunking, you
So-
guys are jumping out the window because he dunked the
No,
basketball?
I'm not jumping out the window,
Okay.
but it's a situation, is he gonna be, for example, is he gonna be okay coming off the bench after a while?
Of course.
There's no
He
choice.
has no choice.
But here's
None
the
of those
situation, and it's that whole situation, and we saw a little bit in Boston when Kyrie had those problems with those guys. I wanna see how that works out long term when the pressure's on. Right now, there's really no pressure, like, they're gonna make the playoffs, everybody knows they're gonna make the playoffs. We'll see when it comes to the pressure
One more.
coming down.
One
So,
more.
on
Two
Calvin,
more
absolutely,
questions.
yes.
I was just gonna say, like, you were talking about how you think that there's gonna be some type of pressure in the playoffs. And I just don't think that, I don't know, like, I'm looking at the playoffs right now, what team really is gonna challenge them? I guess really you have Philly and Milwaukee because they have the size and the defenders. Miami has a chance to
Miami's
finish it
got a
up, but the Oladipo thing, I think, hurt them more than anything else, and creating another guy that's also injury prone.
The biggest thing, and I think this goes for all the teams in the league, based off what's going on, it's relatively who can stay the healthiest. Absolutely, I think in this league, in the way that the league's been running this year especially, it's who can avoid the major injuries to key players at the right time. That's gonna get people through. It was a shortened season, they didn't have as much of a break. That's gonna be the key situation. If Kyrie ends up with another leg injury, that affects them big time. Durant has already missed over a month with a situation as well. Again, it's gonna be are
But
you
the same for
comfortable,
LeBron,
for example,
right?
are you,
Same LeBron.
absolutely,
And
and have, you know what, he
Lakers,
had
yeah.
a situation, who was it, I'm forgetting the player that ended up landing on his leg. You know, it happens, injuries are gonna happen, and that can be a legitimate situation, Anthony Davis, all these guys. You've seen it, there's been injuries all over the place. I think there hasn't been a team that hasn't been able to major with a major star injury for good portions of it, especially of the bigger teams especially. So again, it's seeing who ends up coming. Are you comfortable, for example, if Durant can't play or Kyrie can't play, and I think James Harden is the main principal situation, and that he'll be able to deliver in the playoffs.
Yeah, I
Hasn't
think
delivered before.
Yeah, okay, but my thing is, I think that their team is too good, and with
Sure.
Harden, the thing was he had to, like, carry this rock on his back the whole time by choice, I have to say by choice, because that was another thing that we talked about when you weren't here, that Houston gave him all the pieces, all the players, Chris Paul, Westbrook, everybody, and after he exhausted every player that was there, he said, okay, like, it's on me now, I need to get out here where the real at. But what I was gonna say with Brooklyn is just like, you compare it to football, and a team that's stacked, like maybe like New England was this year, you have so many wide receivers. Tampa. You have so many wide receivers with Godwin and all those guys, and Gronk and whatever. It's like, okay, we're gonna throw these guys, can you cover us? And I think that's the thing with Brooklyn right now, where it's like, okay, cool, you're like ball sharing, whatever. It doesn't take much to throw a pass, make the defense kind of, okay, how are you gonna match up with us? Do you have Joe Harris who can cover you? Do you have Drew Holiday? How many Drew Holidays do you have? And I don't think anybody has the defenders to cover that many scoring options. Because everybody on the court, for the most part, can shoot ball.
Well, again, the discussion, they've been, again, I think it's been better lately, but they've also been ridiculously bad on defense themselves, right?
Well, they're not trying.
They can win
LeBron
shootouts.
teams have been bad, and we talked, there was a stat where like the last year that Cleveland won, they were like 30th in defense, and then they turned it on at the end because they realized they didn't have to try.
Fair enough.
And I was saying like Durant is, I don't know, like pre-injury, top 5 defender at his position, easy.
So let me, so if Durant goes down with an injury, can't play in the playoffs, or even kind of, you're still having them as a lock for the final.
Yeah, but I would put that back to you and say if LeBron's out, or
Well,
you
no,
say
but
that's for Anthony Davis. That's for any team, right?
That's fair enough, but like I said, it's gonna depend a lot on health.
For any team.
For any team.
And then the last thing I wanted to say is, which we talked about, my first thing, you were saying that KD had never been like a top dog. You did that Kyrie hadn't been a top dog in a
It isn't
winning
the top dog.
situation.
Kevin Durant's probably, again, I would say he's top 3 player in the league, if not top 2. I hold him in that kind of regard. He's pretty much unguardable at times. His shooting, his length, he's a top player. The fact of the matter is, his legacy right now is a guy that, in reality, was on an OKC team that was again, younger, Harden and so forth, they got rid of him. An OKC team that was pretty good, Obaka days and so forth. Couldn't get the job done, and that's just the reality of it. Ended up leaving.
Had nothing to do with him, though, I would say.
Well, again,
Hold on.
up 3-1 against the Warriors team, they
Yep.
blow that situation, he joins them afterwards.
For that, for sure. But my question would just be, now that we have a sample size to look at Russell Westbrook and evaluate his career, which might be a different topic, is Russell Westbrook, as the second best player in your team, can you win a title? And I think we're seeing now that the answer to that is probably no. You can be a very good team. I don't know the Westbrook guy, what would you say? Because we've seen it with the prime.
I think you're wrong. I think when they lost in the finals, the refs really helped Miami, but they lost fair and square. They would have lost, but it wouldn't have been.
They would have. And they were so young.
Yeah, they were young. But what makes me sick to my stomach is, and what Igor is saying, I haven't really heard anyone say, but I can picture people talking the way Igor is that Durant's legacy or a take on his record would be him leaving. But when LeBron won back-to-back titles in Miami and then got destroyed by Spurs and then ran to Cleveland, that has no bearing on his career, correct? You're giving these faces all the time, but you don't say anything logical. Why is it that if Durant leaves, it's okay? You have a stacked team that you made, you have Boston, you have Bosh, you have Wade, you have all your core players, because you lost one season, you ran to Cleveland?
So hold on a second. Well, first and foremost, the situation in Miami was, and again, I think you should give LeBron more credit in terms of going back to a place where the owner absolutely dogged him. I personally.
What does that have to do with what I just said? Why is he allowed to leave it, but then anytime Durant or anybody, they have something staying on their record according to you?
And you say these guys have hold on, so
don't
basically the situation is, so you would have been okay if, let's say, LeBron got beat by the Celtics in a series and then joined the Celtics to help them out?
That's not what you said. You said the fact that he couldn't get it, you said he couldn't get the job done.
Could have. And then he joined a team that ended up.
But LeBron couldn't get the job done in Cleveland, ran away, then he went, lost immediately, didn't get the job done because he lost to Dallas, then they cheated OKC in the next team, they won 2, and then when he realized he couldn't beat the Spurs, you ran to Cleveland.
Well, he beat the Spurs 1 year. And then they lost
with the prayer from Real.
Okay, fine.
And
then they came back and
year was
destroyed you,
embarrassed,
and Kawhi completely shut you down and beat you and got Finals MVP. Then you ran to Cleveland.
With a very good team, by the way.
Who has a very good team?
Yeah, a very good team. Yes.
Who has a very good team? Well, if they made the Finals, they're a good team. Is he only supposed to play bad players?
Well, you told me that. Well, hold on. You told me that Dallas team was terrible.
Dallas was a bad team.
What?
Dallas wasn't a good team. They were old, man.
They were the seed at that point.
They swept the Kobe Lakers that year, man.
Okay, so is Utah a good team?
Well, Utah hasn't done anything. Well, like right now, regular season.
So Utah is. I asked you.
Before they won.
Well, they swept the NBA champions from the year before. That's a good team, in my opinion.
So what you do basically, you don't go. So we have all these games coming, and I'm asking you. If Utah's good and you can't give me an answer yet?
I don't, because I've seen a lot of teams be very powerhouse in the regular season, one that's right here for a lot of situations, and then be terrible in the playoffs.
Okay, first of all, you used to fall for this when I used to make fun of you guys because you thought they were good. So you fell for fool's gold then. Now you know what fool's gold is? Okay, so I wouldn't even say that.
Well, the Atlanta Hawks were first place team. There's
Yeah, they were.
a lot of teams that were.
Dallas was the one and lost to Golden State as an A.
Sure, and they learned.
Many times. But what I'm saying to you is that Spurs old team was not supposed to beat that fully charged Miami team, who won 68.
Well, that Spurs
65
old team
games.
still had, again, 3 Hall of Famers.
Spurs, not Spurs, Dallas. When Dallas beat them, the first year that they went charged, and Miami had 65 wins that season.
Okay. They had the Defensive Player of the Year.
They lost. Who was the defensive player of the year?
Dallas did.
Who?
Tyson Chandler won Defensive Player of the Year that year.
Okay, so that's the reason they won. Tyson Chandler.
That's one.
Is Gobert a defensive player of the year?
Well, again, he has been.
Okay, so are you terrified of Gobert? Are you terrified of Gobert?
Mitchell
Are you terrified of
Gobert?
No,
Gobert?
because Mitchell's not Dirk Nowitzki at the end of the day, and they had Sean Marion, and they had Jason
Dirk
Kidd.
Nowitzki?
Dirk Nowitzki was a phenomenal player.
Of course he was. Was he like some dominant player that year?
He had a good playoff.
Yeah, really good playoff. Yeah, very good. They swept the Kobe Lakers. You're
But like you
used
said,
to finish
but
those
like you
guys.
said, if you get to the finals, you're
They're a good team. They
no matter
swept
who
the
you play.
Kobe Lakers. They swept Kobe that year.
Orlando. Remember when Orlando made the final? Was that a good team to you too?
Orlando with Dwight Howard and
Yeah,
Bryant.
they beat the Cavs that one.
Yeah, they beat the Cavs that year.
No,
Dwight Howard in his prime was a very good player.
So that means he was a good player?
Yeah, you get Jimmy Nelson and then this guy gets their.
All right, sorry guys, keep going.
So hold on, so how do you make the finals to be a bad team?
I'm not saying that I'm saying to you.
Especially in this era.
No, I'll tell you, because that's a very good question.
And Miami
There's
too.
certain teams that will have excel in a season or excel in the playoffs.
Sure.
And all the